I just thought this woman is really doing something quite dreadful to Britain. And Harry has fallen in love with her in a ludicrous way and has gone along as her accomplice.
We landed in Canada, and one of our security guards who had been with H for so long, and these guys were so wonderful, I just collapsed in his arms crying. I was like, I tried so hard. He goes, I know you did. I know you did, ma'am. I know you did.
Harry and Meghan are going to be petrified about the idea of Tom Bower snooping back into their married life, right?
I realised how successful she'd been. Here was a woman who was nothing. I mean, born, broken family, the whole thing, unknown actress, all the rest of it, becomes a global star, which is what she wanted. When she was about 9 or 10, she said to her father, I want to be famous. I want to walk down the red carpet. And she has now done that. And she's calculated that she could be a great success. And by marrying Harry, she did it.
In some ways, he does despise his wife. I mean, we saw that on the recent Middle Eastern tour when he was constantly rejecting her attempt at public displays of affection because he knows that what she's doing is like ownership. It's not about love. It's not about affection. It's about ownership, and it's about showing the world who is in control, and he can't stand that.
What if the biggest royal love story of the last decade was never really a love story at all? What if it was something far more calculated? Because according to explosive new claims revealed in a controversial book by British investigative journalist Tom Bower, the fairy tale surrounding Meghan Markle and Prince Harry may actually be hiding a much darker script behind the palace gates. And no, this isn't just another royal gossip headline. This time the allegations are so specific, so uncomfortable, and frankly so bizarre that even longtime royal watchers are asking the same question. Did the world completely misunderstand what was really happening inside the Sussex marriage?
For years the public was told a very simple story.
A prince falls in love with an American actress. They escape the rigid traditions of the monarchy. They start a new life in California. End of story, right? Except Bower's latest investigation claims that story might only be the surface. Because behind the red carpets, the Netflix deals, and the carefully curated interviews, there may have been a power struggle, a collapsing reputation, and a series of private moments that royal insiders say left even senior palace figures stunned.
And here's the most disturbing part.
According to the book, several people close to the royal family allegedly saw the warning signs years ago.
But almost nobody was willing to say it out loud.
Until now, and the deeper Tom Bower started digging, the stranger the story allegedly became. Because according to people who once moved in the same royal circles, the moment Meghan Markle entered Prince Harry's life, something shifted.
Not slowly, not subtly, but dramatically.
Friends who had known Harry for decades reportedly began noticing small changes first. Tiny details that at the time didn't seem important. A cancelled dinner here. A missed phone call there. Invitations quietly declined. At first, they assumed the prince was simply busy.
After all, royal life is chaotic. Public duties,
global travel, endless charity events. But then the pattern kept repeating. One by one, people who had been part of Harry's inner circle for years started disappearing from his life.
Old school friends, military companions,
even longtime palace aides. According to sources quoted in Bower's investigation, some of them didn't even understand what had happened. One day they were speaking regularly with the prince,
and the next, complete silence.
Even more bizarre, several insiders claim Harry suddenly changed his personal phone number without informing many of the people who had known him since childhood.
No warning, no explanation, just gone. Now maybe that sounds like a small detail,
but inside royal circles, it raised eyebrows immediately. Because royal families don't just cut communication overnight. At least, they never used to. Then there were the public appearances. Remember those early engagements after the wedding? At first, everything looked perfect. The smiling couple, the glamorous walkabouts, the carefully choreographed hand-holding. But according to several royal observers, something about those moments felt unusual. Some claimed Meghan appeared to be directing the entire dynamic, where they stood,
when they spoke, who Harry interacted with.
And more than once, cameras reportedly captured moments where the prince seemed visibly uncomfortable with certain displays of affection in public.
Now maybe that's nothing. Maybe it's just awkward buddy language.
Or maybe, as Bower suggests, it was the earliest visible sign that the balance inside the relationship was not what people assumed. And that brings us to a moment that royal insiders still talk about in whispers. A private conversation that allegedly took place inside Kensington Palace before the wedding even happened. According to accounts cited in the book, Prince William had serious concerns about the speed of the relationship.
Not hatred. Not jealousy. Concern. The future king reportedly told his younger brother to slow down, to take time, to really understand the woman he was about to marry. But that conversation didn't go well. In fact, according to some accounts, it triggered one of the first real fractures between the brothers. And that fracture never truly healed. Soon after, the royal family reportedly began noticing another change in Harry. The once easygoing prince who had spent years joking with reporters and laughing during public events suddenly seemed different. More defensive. More angry. More suspicious of the media.
And according to Bauer's sources, Meghan's influence was becoming increasingly visible behind the scenes. She allegedly pushed for greater independence from palace advisors, encouraged Harry to challenge traditional royal structures, and questioned why certain decisions were still being controlled by the institution rather than the couple themselves.
To some observers, it looked like modern thinking.
A younger generation rejecting outdated traditions. But to others inside the palace,
it looked like something else entirely.
A power struggle quietly forming behind the polished image of a royal romance. And as tensions continued building inside the palace walls, very few people realized that an even bigger storm was already approaching. Because while the public was watching the fairy tale unfold on television, behind the scenes, alliances were shifting, friendships were collapsing, and trust inside the royal family was beginning to crack. And if Bauer's investigation is even partially accurate, that was only the beginning.
But she had one amazing ability, which was to find a man who needed her.
Oh.
And she played him brilliantly. The actress was sensational.
As the months passed, the situation surrounding Meghan Markle and Prince Harry allegedly became even more complicated and far more controversial than the public ever realized. Because while the world was busy celebrating the glamorous image of the new royal couple, insiders claimed something very different was happening behind palace walls. And according to Tom Bauer's investigation, one particular issue kept surfacing again and again: control. Several individuals who had worked closely with the royal household reportedly began noticing a shift in how decisions were being made.
Meetings that once involved senior palace advisors were suddenly being bypassed.
Long-standing protocols that had guided royal conduct for decades were quietly ignored. At first, palace staff assumed it was simply a new royal adjusting to an unfamiliar system.
But the requests allegedly didn't stop.
According to accounts referenced in the book, Meghan pushed for rapid changes. Everything from media strategy to public appearances to how the couple would interact with the press. And that's where things allegedly started getting tense. Because the British monarchy operates on a very delicate balance of tradition, hierarchy, and image management. Every move is carefully calculated. Yet insiders claim Meghan often challenged that system directly. Some palace employees reportedly described working conditions that became increasingly stressful. Anonymous staff members allegedly told royal commentators that the atmosphere behind the scenes had shifted from organized to chaotic. One former aide reportedly described the environment as walking into a storm every morning. Now, of course, none of this was visible to the public. To the outside world, the couple still looked like the perfect modern royal partnership. But inside the palace, tensions were apparently building fast. And then came a moment that royal watchers say changed everything. A private discussion involving senior members of the royal family. According to several reports cited in Bauer's research, the conversation quickly escalated into one of the most uncomfortable confrontations the palace had seen in years. Details of that meeting remain murky, but sources claim voices were raised and frustrations spilled out into the open. Some insiders allege Meghan felt she was being treated unfairly by certain members of the royal household. Others claim senior royals believe the new Duchess was attempting to bypass established structures in ways that could damage the institution. Either way, the relationship between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family reportedly began deteriorating rapidly, and then something even more dramatic happened. Within a relatively short time, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced their decision to step back from their roles as senior working royals.
The move shocked the world.
Royal observers scrambled to understand what had gone wrong so quickly. Supporters of the couple argued they were simply seeking independence from a rigid institution. Critics, however, claimed the decision signaled a deeper conflict, one that had been building quietly for months. But according to Bauer's book, the real controversy didn't end when the couple left the royal family. In many ways, that's when the most explosive chapter of the story allegedly began. But if anyone thought the drama would fade once Harry and Meghan left the royal family, they were about to be very wrong. Because according to Tom Bauer's investigation, stepping away from royal duties didn't end the controversy.
It may have actually intensified it.
The couple relocated to California, signed major media deals, and began building what many believed would become a powerful global brand.
Streaming projects, high-profile interviews, podcast launches, documentaries. On the surface, it looked like the Sussexes had successfully reinvented themselves. But behind the scenes, reports began surfacing that the reality was far more complicated. Bauer claims that several organizations and donors who had once been eager to collaborate with Prince Harry were quietly becoming hesitant. Not because of Harry himself, but because of the growing controversy surrounding the couple. One particularly explosive claim in the book involves a private brand evaluation allegedly conducted by individuals connected to one of Harry's longtime charitable projects. According to Bauer, the findings were deeply uncomfortable. The report supposedly suggested that Harry's public image had shifted dramatically over the previous few years. Instead of being viewed primarily as the beloved people's prince, some audiences now saw him as a figure wrapped in constant controversy. Even more shocking was what the audit allegedly concluded about Meghan. The report reportedly claimed that Meghan's presence in certain partnerships was causing hesitation among donors and corporate sponsors. In other words, what had once been seen as a powerful royal partnership was now, according to some analysts, becoming a public relations risk. Now imagine hearing that information while sitting on a private flight thousands of feet in the air. According to Bauer, that exact scenario allegedly happened. A senior figure connected to Harry's charitable work reportedly presented the findings directly to him during a private conversation. And the message was blunt. If the couple wanted to maintain support for their charitable projects, they might need to rethink how their public image was being managed. That conversation, according to the book, left Harry stunned. For years he had believed the world supported the choices he and Meghan had made. But suddenly, data was telling a very different story. And that wasn't the only crisis building. Financial pressures were reportedly increasing as well. Security costs, lifestyle expenses, maintaining a public presence in the United States. According to several royal commentators cited by Bauer, the Sussexes needed millions of dollars annually just to sustain their current lifestyle. Which meant their media deals and brand partnerships weren't just opportunities anymore. They were necessities. And then came the moment that pushed the entire controversy back into the global spotlight. The announcement of Bauer's new book. Almost immediately, headlines exploded across media outlets. Claims about isolation, allegations of influence, stories of family fractures and damaged reputations. Supporters of Harry and Meghan dismissed the book as sensationalism. Critics argued it confirmed suspicions many people had quietly held for years. But the most fascinating twist? The couple's response. Instead of ignoring the book, representatives for the Sussexes publicly criticized the author and described his work as exaggerated and misleading. And that reaction had an unexpected consequence. Public curiosity exploded. Within days, the book climbed bestseller charts before it had even officially reached store shelves. Which raises one final question. Did Tom Bauer just ignite the biggest royal controversy of the decade? Or did he simply put into writing what palace insiders had been whispering about for years? Because if even half of these claims turn out to be true, the story of Harry and Meghan may still be far from over. So now the question becomes impossible to ignore. If even a fraction of these claims are true, what does that say about the story the world has been watching for the last few years? For nearly a decade, the narrative surrounding Meghan Markle and Prince Harry has been presented as a modern fairy tale. A prince breaks away from centuries of royal tradition for love. A Hollywood actress steps into one of the most famous families on earth. Together they walk away from the monarchy to build a new life on their own terms. But Tom Bauer's investigation is now forcing people to ask a much darker question. Was that story ever the full truth? Or was it only the version the public was meant to see? Because the deeper this controversy goes, the more complicated the picture becomes. Allegations of fractured friendships, rumors of internal palace conflicts, claims that powerful donors and institutions quietly pulled away. And perhaps most intriguing of all, the growing suggestion that the real story behind the Sussex saga may still be unfolding. Some royal insiders believe this drama is far from finished. Others think the damage between Harry and the royal family may never fully heal. And then there are those who believe something even bigger could still be coming. A new revelation, another book, or perhaps a response that changes everything once again. But now we want to hear from you. Do you think Tom Bauer's claims reveal something important about what's been happening behind the scenes? Or is this just another exaggerated chapter in the never-ending royal media circus? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown shocking, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because we'll be bringing you the latest updates, hidden details, and controversies the headlines don't always tell you about. Because when it comes to stories like this, sometimes the real drama hasn't even started yet.